Because he's like, I'm not loyal to either one. But AD, run down your Apple list though. Tell them what all you got. Apple
I got you. Listen, I got the TV, I got the computer, I got phone. Our family is all iPhones. We all
that's what you call loyalty.
Bunch of unproductive loyalty.
You know what? Tell you one thing I can do though, like I can be like this. This is what Apple allows you to do right there. When you in control, that's when you have the market share and you're in control. You shut everybody down. Some folks come out with a phone that look like yours, like, oh, you trying to copy. Let me go and sue you. I love it. Love it. What up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to the Brothers of Legacy Freestyle Friday. Boy, it's going to be disrespectful. So what we're not going to do is be disrespectful to the host. What up, Mama Corey? Thank you for being here. What up, Lisa? Good morning. Thanks for saying good morning in the chat. We're going to start off early. What up, Jeff? Said, what did the janitor say when he jumped out of the closet? What did the janitor say when he jumped out of? Let me bring on Kaneem. Look, Kaneem, we starting already. What did the janitor say when he jumped out? He said supplies.
Jeff been working on that all morning, I tell you. It's all good. It's all good.
Right.
It's freestyle.
Thank you, Lisa.
Lisa, it's never too early for the timeout when they come in with the disrespect. When they come in, he said, "Jeff, hold the jokes."
Listen, if you're gonna disrespect yourself, don't blame other people for it.
There you go. There you
go. Here you go. You're gonna get your own right there. Timeout right there. I got timeout on fleek right now. All right, so let's throw this intro on. You guys make sure you share.
My opinion.
Nobody care about your opinion right now. We're gonna get started. Let's kick this off with the intro. Make sure you guys share. We're gonna be discussing some stuff. I got a Black History moment, African American moment.
Ain't got nothing to do with iPhone.
You said what?
Ain't got nothing.
I didn't even hear what you said. Let's go. We're gonna be doing this all day.
Stand up.
Bam.
All right, let's go.
Come on, AD, give it to us, bro.
So today,
if something goes wrong with your iPhone, you got to go to the Apple store. You got to go stand in line, take a number. Oh, anyways, go.
Let's go.
And
so today,
and this year,
we're gonna give you a break too. So, Black History moment. We're talking about Mary Van Britton Brown. Mary Van Britton Brown. She would have an apple if she was around because she's so smart. Listen, that's cool. So she is an African American nurse. She devised the first early security unit for her home. She and her husband took out a patent for that. It was 1969. Now, what I've been looking for was to see if she was actually paid for, like, when ADT and these other companies started using her design. I couldn't find that. I did see that she was valued at, she's still alive. She is like 98. She's valued at $14 million. So I'm assuming that either she's come out with more patents or she's getting paid for this current patent. So shout out to Mary Van Britton Brown. Shout out to Mary Van Britton Brown. Again, welcome guys. Thank you guys for being here. Another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. I'm your host, A.D. Walker. To my left, right, I have my brother like no other, Brian A. McCrory Sr. in the building. Below me is the very disrespectful Kaneem Curvey, aka Freeway, and to the diagonal part of me who's coming up on the disrespect, Mr. Thomas Cotton.
Now this is all love, my brother. We just are acknowledging the loyalty that you have for those in the iPhone Apple community. That's all we're doing.
So that's
we as your brothers are
trying to help
just
me out.
letting you know that we recognize how loyal you are. That's all.
AD doing
He's loyal. He's he
This
loves
is all
it.
love, man. You need to embrace this love that we're trying to
Sometimes you got to tell the truth in love, help them see the light.
Can't tell you.
So my people out there in the comment section, are you guys Android or Apple users? Android or Apple users? And just as a caveat, what service do you use? What service do you use? I currently use AT&T.
Slowly, you going all negative.
You don't want to go there. Well, who you got? Who you got? Verizon?
Nah, T-Mobile. Verizon was terrible for me. Okay. I have Verizon, and I know a lot of people love the Verizon. It was terrible.
Yeah, I got Verizon.
Absolutely hate AT&T. Go ahead. They got great customer service though. Shout out to their customer service. Their customer service, when you call them, it's always the best experience. I give them that.
I've had AT&T for 20 years and I've never had a complaint, never had a problem.
Right.
You don't know any better.
All right. Hold on. Where the drums at?
I got you.
Drums at somebody. Hey, you ain't
what
got
do you?
no,
I mean, when you say you don't know any better, you mean like compared to other networks?
No, I'm just messing with you. I don't know. I've never done AT&T. Let me say this. I haven't done AT&T since like 2005 or something like that. Okay. So I don't know if they've improved or not. So I can't say.
And that's where it gets rough in certain areas.
Well, I think it depends. Like
all
you can go to,
they all get rough in certain areas.
Yeah, it gets. I drive around everywhere, so certain spots it's just horrible. But like I said, I think that's indicative of everybody. I hear you, Pastor. We hear you.
Yeah,
you're ignoring me. Okay.
Yeah, we're just over talking you. That's all that is.
It's your piece, bro.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that for certain, it just depends on the area. If you had AT&T 20 years ago in Southern California, you might have some complaints. It's a coverage thing, right? Remember AT&T at one point was singular. They went back and forth.
Right. Remember that singular because I had singular.
And so coverage was an issue. What's that other one? Mobile. Give me some other ones.
T-Mobile.
T-Mobile was fantastic in certain parts of the country. And not in others, but they didn't have the national coverage. Verizon is everywhere, but they're not really everywhere.
They have great mobile talking service, terrible internet service. Like, I need the internet. 80, go ahead and take a look at that. Your head's going to be down for about a minute and a half. You can fast forward just to the end if you want to. Look at the beginning. You can go to the middle. And then just go to the end, but you got to wait all the way to the end just to see how far back I am on that video. And I want to hear what your honest reaction is of that.
Because I got Verizon and
I feel left out.
Oh, I don't have your phone number.
Let's see. Jeff says, I'm looking. Only one iPhone and AT&T. AD got class. That's what I'm talking about. Jeff represent. Jeff knows good. Yep. AT&T take my money for 20 years. I think the best, right? Lisa, Android, and T-Mobile. That's why I don't really rock with you, Lisa. That's why I don't.
Lisa, that's why we rock together. Android, T-Mobile.
AD. What's up, Richard? He said I upgraded my crickets. Not the cricket phone. Not the cricket. Oh. Nice. Let's see.
I've been with Verizon probably 20 years, man.
Wow. Yeah.
I was with Verizon. They was
about 15. I'm maybe like 15 in.
So my mom was a Verizon person since before it was Verizon. She's had a cell phone or mobile phone since the mid 80s, right?
Nextel.
And she had a car phone. You start the car up and the car. So she's had a phone for a minute, and she was with Verizon until about a little over a year and a half ago. And
Verizon was the carrier for the first car phone.
Yeah, and so she decided to switch because she noticed how much better the service was with T-Mobile than Verizon.
And where she
So
lives?
she switched. Nevada, Las Vegas.
That makes absolute sense to me because T-Mobile is fabulous in Vegas.
But they're really good in Atlanta too, in my opinion.
Yeah, Atlanta's a good area for T-Mobile as well.
And Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And Bakersfield.
You're still in California. Florida. You're still
and Mexico. And when you're on a Delta flight.
And out of space.
So national coverage.
On the moon.
When you do a lot of traveling, AT&T leads the charge. Verizon comes in. Actually, Verizon leads the charge in terms of coverage, but not in terms of quality of service. But in terms of national coverage combined with quality of service, it's AT&T all day.
All day.
When I hit them, when I go out of town, I get that ultra wide band, that lightning fast service, and I see that UW on my. I'm downloading movies in about 5 seconds. Bang! I'm getting music in about a second. I say download, bam! I'm playing, and that's by the time I go and press play, it's fully downloaded.
It's almost downloaded by the time I'm almost there, and it's downloaded. It already knows.
But
it's like, we knew you was coming, so we was ready.
It's only in certain areas, though. That's the only thing I got to gripe about. You only get that ultra wide band. Like if I'm at the Mercedes-Benz stadium, I get it. They'll tell you because they'll be promoting it. Ultra wide band, this, that, and the third. Right. You go to the airport, they'll have Verizon ultra wide band, whatever. So, they report about, especially on the East Coast, like New York, DC, Philadelphia, all that ultra wide band. It's all.
They don't do it in the desert, though. That's for sure. I would drive from Las Vegas to California, and in the middle of the desert, I would lose service. I have Pandora, so I know a lot of you guys use Spotify and all these other services. I use Pandora. Next thing I know is switching up. Offline mode. Offline mode. It makes a sound that takes you to offline mode. When I was on Verizon, I stayed on offline mode.
Hey, I ain't gonna lie, I get that sometimes. I'm right here in the metro Atlanta area, so it has changed over the years. I will say that.
Man, they're good with phone service. You can call from anywhere. You can be anywhere and call on Verizon, but try to use their network internet. Nope.
Yeah.
Hey, okay, so I got a question. I've got to kind of move in topic a little bit. I know we'll get back to it. Don't do that. So I was watching a video. I was trying to share it, man. I hate when I lose a video that you're looking at. It was on TikTok. All right, so a lady was complaining that her children don't have a lot of contact. It's called no contact. Everything got termed now. No contact with her. As a mother, she felt like she did a good job, but her children are complaining, about, I guess, how they grew up, and she used the word they're so entitled. Her children are adults now, and she feels like why don't they talk to me? Why we don't have a conversation or whatever. It was a short snippet, and I guess the therapist was watching the video, and then she commented on, she gets that a lot now. She has clients that talk about they don't have contact with the family, because of the way they grew up, and now they're kind of telling them like, this is how I felt, this is how I feel. Based on the small snippet and watching it, it just seems like the lady that was complaining about not having contact with her children, I guess is not, remorseful. Like I'm more or less, I did the best I can. It is what it is. Kind of feeling. How do you guys feel about that? And I know, like you, Pastor and Kaneem, have older children, and you might have your back and forth, but you stay in contact. Have you had the complaints about how you grew up, and have you had to kind of like either apologize or talk about, have those conversations. Because that's kind of like, because she's saying it happens often. Like there's a lot of older adults that talk about the childhood, and now they have no contact with their parents because they don't want to hear what I went through.
The parents are stepping away because they don't want to hear from the children about
no,
their
the children
upbringing.
are stepping away because the parents are not being compassionate. I guess that's probably the best way, or empathetic about how they felt growing up or whatever happened.
How the children felt growing up.
Yeah. And has that happened, in you guys' lives? And
not yet.
Okay. I got you.
Kaneem says that, and just be honest, like when you're parenting, that's the idea. It's like, I'm going to put the best parenting out there, but you just never know how it's going to turn out.
Right.
And a lot of times, as a man parenting boys, it can be kind of, hurtful to them, because especially nowadays, they're so sensitive, again, very sensitive about everything. We talked a couple weeks ago about the word kid. I said the word kid. Hey, kid.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, like, really? Okay, let me back up. Let me retrain my way of thinking.
Right.
But you just never know. It's hit or miss.
You shit in the building. Yeah.
So taking advantage of the fact that I'm probably the oldest person here with the oldest children.
You gotta say probably.
I got you. I got you. You good? That's on the house.
What happened?
I just took Kaneem out. I got you. I took him out.
What did he say?
He said you don't have to say probably.
Probably.
You say you're probably the oldest person here with the oldest kids, and you say you don't have to say probably.
Yeah, keep him kicked out.
I got you.
No, bring it back. I have a response.
All right. All right, let's go.
Thank you, Kaneem. No, it's absolutely true. In fact, when as adults, if you really begin to reflect your parenting style,
right?
If you really examine yourself, you might want to have a conversation with your children to talk about the things you felt you could have done better. We can always do better. And you never know. I think you said it, Thomas, you never know how your rearing of your children has impacted them until they're old enough to be able. You all have heard me say this. You don't know what kind of parent you have been until your children are old enough to express themselves without fear of the consequence.
Right.
That's when you know. Yes, Alicia, I don't think our kids will really know until they're grown and have their own. And sometimes they don't know the impact of how they were raised until they begin to examine how they walk through life. We all have trauma from our childhood, and we all deal with it differently. Some of us overcome our traumas early in life. Some of us make room for our traumas to create issues for us in life. But we all go through some type of trauma growing up. And not every parents don't always have the right answer. They only have what they know. They do the best with what they have. So absolutely, I have apologized to my children for the things that I did not understand while raising them. If I had known better, I probably would have done better. But again, it depends on where you are when you have them. I mean, there's so many ways to unpack this. When I came back from the Virgin Islands here recently, I came back and had an individual conversation with each of my children because of the reflections that I did when I was there. So yeah, so I don't think you shy away from it. I think that you should embrace it because it's going to help your children. The other part of that is it's important for children to understand that a lot of our successes are a direct result of our traumas. Yeah. Some of you all have pressed your way and made a great life for yourselves, trying to outrun the trauma of your childhood.
Right.
And instead of just looking at that and hating the target of the trauma, it's time to have gratitude because it shaped who you are.
Yeah.
We have to begin to reevaluate how we deal with our traumatic experiences as young people. And it'll enable us to better manage what we hear from our children, from the next generation, how we respond to it. If you haven't overcome your traumas, it'll be really, really difficult to make room for empathy for the traumatic experiences that you might hear from the next generation. So what I'm learning is, instead of hating and despising those traumatic experiences, I'm learning to have gratitude for it because it shaped who I am. I don't condone the traumas, but I'm grateful for my shaping and my molding.
Okay. Jeff says, I haven't really had my kids throw anything in my face as far as their upbringing, but unfortunately my daughter doesn't want to have anything to do with her mom. I've always tried to be a peacekeeper, but this one is next level. Indeed.
And sometimes it doesn't come to you.
Right.
Sometimes their spouses get the brunt of it. You get married and you put it on your spouse.
Right.
It comes out in so many different ways. Certain parents that may have negatively impacted their children will never know it because, your son grew up and he was a bodybuilder. So all of his trauma he put into the gym.
Right.
And so you never expected, you never felt it. Some put it into the bottle.
Right.
Some put it into just loving. They turned it into love.
Yeah.
And they become a champion, a force for good.
Right. So have you guys turned? I mean, I know Ryan McCordy said it. He's kind of turned anything that may be traumatic, as a force for, like, it taught me something. This is what I learned. This is what I got out of it. Have you guys experienced that twofold? Have you guys experienced that, or have you gone back to your parents or mother or whatever and said something about, some things I've grown up and it hurt me, and it's on my mind, and I just, wasn't expecting. Then, like, were you looking for a response that you just had to get it out? And
there's a period of time where I've talked about how my mom and I were at odds during my teenage years. She disowned me when I was 14.
Right.
And when we finally had a conversation, that conversation lasted over 6 hours. And during that time, I just dumped on her about all the challenges I was going through. Right. It's your fault. You left me in this space to make all these decisions by myself as a kid, just through everything.
Right.
Now, as a mature adult, I would think I am. Over the years, I've realized I made decisions. My parents did the best they could. Life happens to people. And when it happens to people, how people respond, the kids find themselves right in the middle of it. Kids can't do anything about it. But the trauma that they experience, so I talk about how my mom disowned me, but what happened to my mom? My mom is Korean, my dad is Black. When my mom told her Korean family that she's having a half Black child, she was disowned. A lot of times when we have trauma, we fight with the weapons we have. And so, the moment that she needed me to come live with her, and she had everything, all this expectation of me coming to live with her, the rejection was to the point where she used the worst weapon that she had. And, sometimes it takes understanding of life, because when you live a little bit, you find out that life happens to people.
Right.
And that people get caught in the crossfire. And unfortunately, life happened to my dad. Life happened to my mom. I got caught in the crossfire. What I can say is, once I became aware of some things in life, probably the last 30 years or close to 30 years, I really honored my parents, because this could have went a whole other way where I didn't even have life or anything, right? So there's this honoring of my parents that has taken place, where they matter to me. They've done their best and everything else. As a child in the middle of that, I could have easily went the other way. But there's this level of, when you finally know, it's like, okay. And now as a parent, we have to prepare ourselves for some of the foolishness that kids may say, right? Because again, this generation of kid is different. They can get traumatized off of something simple, and it's important for us to somehow get ready for whatever they bring. But we also have to look at, the one thing I look at is I'm saying these kids are soft. This generation is soft, but who's parenting this generation, right? We got to look at what the parents are doing. And and for me, I'm a little old school in my parenting. And so not that I spank or anything like that. I'm kind of, new in thought in some things, but there are some things that, you got responsibilities. You have certain things you got to toughen up. Every now and then you're going to do something that's going to make me laugh at you.
Right.
And your feelings going to be hurt. And so I need to do better than that. Right. But we also, there's the style of parenting. We don't know what the style of parenting people are. I'm teaching my kids to be men, and you're going to be independent, and you're getting out my house at a certain point. Right. There's some people who they're so afraid of being a bad parent that they're going to coddle you, keep you in the house as long as they can, because they don't know how to let go, first of all. And number two, they don't want you to not like them. They want to, there's certain ways, and there's so many different ways of thinking about parenting that we can cause harm in many different ways, but we just never know until they come back and say what's on their mind or in their heart, what they've experienced.
No doubt. Yeah, I do feel like I ain't trying to make them my friends. I think the not want them to like me was a moment, and then I'm like, I got to get over that. Like, there's gonna be phases that just not gonna like me. Like it's the growing pains, the discipline, the teaching. I so it's, I've kind of quickly got over that one. The release and push out into the world is like, I just want you to be ready. And sometimes it's like, did you get them to just take a leap? Or how long did it stay? Long as, I guess, to me, he said, long as we have the conversations about where we're going, maybe long as there's a plan and you're not just sucking up air, eating all my food up. We got a direction. Like we're working on something. You're in school, you're doing this. Okay, boom, there's a next level. I think that's a big one. Jeff says, I realized even though my upbringing wasn't perfect, I now realize my mom was operating out of emotional injury from her marriage to my dad. I used to be angry about how I was left alone as a 12-year-old, 6 out of 7 nights a week. She was at the bars, but I realized she was dealing with being a single mom the best she could. No more anger. You realize what they are going through. Man, that's deep. I think, I know, forgive me, guys. I know it's Friday. It was just on my mind. I guess, it's Freestyle Friday.
Man, you don't have to apologize for that, bro.
So, I just really wanted to have this conversation. Thomas brought it to me probably earlier in the week, and I was trying to figure out how to shape it into the conversation. And then I saw that video, and I was like, yeah, it's like the trauma of what you grow up with. How long do you hold your parents accountable for it? How angry can you be? If you go to your parents, are you expecting them to apologize? What if they don't? They're just like, it is what it is. Do you begin to still carry that trauma with you? Or do you I like what Pastor said, kind of finding the way to turn that trauma into, this is what made me. I don't know if, probably a TV show I probably watched, father apologized for not being around. And the son was like, it's probably good that you weren't around because I wouldn't have these opportunities. It's accepting that moment. And then I've watched same kind of show, and the dad was like, or the absentee dad was like, it's probably good that I wasn't around because you wouldn't have these opportunities. Not exonerating my lack of taking responsibility, but you know, you got some great opportunities by me because I was messed up. I was not in a great place. I might not have parented you well because either I was on drugs or I was dealing with myself and had my own mess that I couldn't get over. So I think like there has to be a letting go point. You know, there has to be a moment where you realize, hey, this thing shaped me into who I am now.
But here's the other part is, as a parent, you never stop parenting. So
right.
There's those moments where your kids may come back, and however they come back, it doesn't mean you just stop parenting. In those moments, you still have to parent them, especially if the perspective is so narrow about all the negative and they forget about all the good. They forget about the, you know, how you've cared and did your best. They don't see that. You just don't stop parenting.
Right.
That's one of the things I can say about, you know, no matter how bad it was with me and my parents during my teenage years, they still were my parents and they still did their best. And you know, for my dad's life while he was still here, he did his best, even though most people will look at it as, you know, not enough or whatever it may be. When you see the goodness of the heart of the person, for me, seeing the heart of my dad, it's like, you know, there's this idea of him still being a parent in my life, him still, you know, interacting and connecting with me. And my mom, the same thing, right? There's this parenting. My mom probably overdoes it because she still feels like I'm 5 years old, 7 years old, still trying to put food in my mouth and everything else.
Eat this, like, try this.
It's not even try this. It's like, Mom.
That really explains a lot. Okay, now it makes sense. Okay,
yeah,
you're still bottle fed. Okay. Hey, I didn't mean to cut you off, but listen,
don't hate. Don't hate just because you wish you had it.
Right. Mom, you hear that? Please come to Georgia and feed me. I want to share the scripture because I was thinking about this. I want to share the scripture, and I'm going to share a couple of notes that I wrote down while I was while sitting on that island. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 31 and 32. Ephesians 4, 31 and 32. I'm acting like I'm in church and Bible study.
Hold on. Amen. I got it.
Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice.
That's good.
And be ye kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as God, for Christ's sake, has forgiven you.
Right.
Why is that relevant? This is my notebook that I wrote in while I was on the island. Emotional baggage has to be gotten rid of. Forgiveness is dialysis for the soul.
That's good. That's good.
Letting go is a choice. Denial is not forgiveness, parents.
In the river.
It happened. Trauma happens.
Right.
We cannot deny it.
Right.
And we have to deal with the trauma. The only way to get peace in life is to deal with your trauma.
Right.
But dealing with your trauma means coming out with forgiveness.
Right.
That's where you get your peace. Peace is the best gift to yourself.
Right.
Because without it, you rob yourself of your future. And I refuse to let my future be held hostage because of the trauma of my past.
Indeed. It's good. It's good.
That's a couple of my notes.
That's good.
Yeah, it's interesting you say my future to be held hostage to the trauma of my past. And you're talking about forgiveness. I teach a class, and in the class, I talk about how when you don't have forgiveness, you anchor yourself to a moment, which prevents you from moving forward. It's like dropping anchor in a moment.
Yeah.
Yes. And that lack of forgiveness holds you in that moment for so long. So like I love what you just said, and really tying that to the forgiveness piece, because a lot of times we don't want to forgive because we think forgiving is justifying something. No, forgiveness is just you freeing yourself to go forward, and it's not justifying what someone did. Like I'll say it, like what my parents did was wrong, but in the midst of that, I was the one hurting myself, hurting my future and everything else, because I'm anchoring myself to these moments.
Right.
But there comes a point where you can understand, get wisdom and all that, get an understanding. And as you get these understandings in life, they free you to kind of move forward. So that was good stuff.
Yeah, listen, unforgiveness, and we struggle to say this, but the reality is harboring unforgiveness is demonic.
Wow.
Unforgiveness is a demon living inside of you, and that destroys the people who are trying to love you.
Indeed.
They are penalized because you're harboring demonic spirit inside of you. Unforgiveness is unlike God.
Right.
It's darkness.
Yeah.
Right. And so we have to rebuke it. We have to we have to cast it out so that we can make room to be loved by the people who want to love us.
Right.
That's
Indeed.
real, man.
That's good. Jeff said something. He said, my dad helped me out of a big life hole, and I was 47 years old, Thomas. Wow. That's big. That's big. Forgiveness is releasing yourself of the weight and pressure and all that keep you from moving forward. Truth. Need that vibe. Yeah. Indeed. It's good.
Things are going to happen.
What's good is this. We're all men here talking about these things, and a lot of times we forget that men actually have these type of thoughts, feelings, and emotions.
Right.
We put it like men don't forgive. We're just we move forward. And a lot of times, the harm that happens to men, we have so much pride, we feel like we can't forgive or release or let go. I like what Sean said in the chat. Releasing yourself of the weight, the pressure, and all that keeps you from moving forward. Like release is important for us to go forward as men, because when we don't release, as men, we can be very angry. And it's like we have this thing inside of us, and women also, but just men, we can dominate stuff, and we can become dominators of so many things with unforgiveness in our life.
Indeed. Kaneem, you all right? Quiet.
Oh yeah, no, man. I was just letting y'all speak. I mean, everybody got their own opinion, because I know how I feel about my dad, and I ain't forgave him yet. He been dead for a couple of years, so you know what I'm saying. It's not that I'm not releasing it, but it's not a burden on my shoulders and in my heart. You know what I'm saying? It's just that I remember what he should have did, and in his early years when I was a little boy. And I remember what he did as I was as a grown man, and it was still the same. He didn't change, and he was 60-something years old 70 when he passed away, and he was still the same at 70 as he was at 30. You know what I'm saying? So,
Kenny, have you ever thought about why was he that way?
He decided to leave it that way, so I left it that way. You know what I'm saying? I'm not.
Have you ever asked yourself, why was he that way?
Oh, I knew why he was that way.
What is it?
You want me to tell you what I think?
Go on, if you don't mind. If you
don't mind, yeah.
One of them, he was selfish. From the day he was born, he was selfish. It was all about him.
Right.
Always. When before I got here, my mom would tell me he was all about him, and I used to put him on a pedestal and thought he was my superhero.
Right.
And even when I put it down, he absorbed that and made it all about him. Then when I got to a certain age, he got on crack, and then it was all about him. When I got to have my first child when I was 18, it was all about him. Didn't come around, didn't see nothing. When I became 25 and decided to move to Georgia, it was still all about him. Right. When I got on dialysis, and he said, "I'm gonna come up there and help you," he was running from the dope man. It was all about him.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? So it's always been about him, right, until the day he died. So but that's the life he chose. He chose to live his life that way. I mean, he's standing, but I just feel like that's what it is.
Right. But I make a list of the people that have hurt me the most in life. At the top of the list is William Lee Tabb. Who is William Lee Tabb? William Lee Tabb was my father. He's the top of the list of the people that hurt me the most. Because I couldn't understand how you could have children. Right. And I don't care what the relationship was between you and the mother of your children, between him and my mother. It doesn't even matter to me. I recognize there are two sides to every story. But I found out that no one can force you to be a parent, and no one can stop you if you want to be a parent. They just can't. It's just not possible. You can say, you can use every excuse that you want, but the reality is it's about choice. And you can either die trying to parent, or you can die running from parenting. It's really just that simple. He was at the top of my list, and I couldn't understand how this man refused to father me. I couldn't understand how this man never came looking for me. And then I thought about it. What could have gone so wrong in his life that would cause him to completely avoid his children? Sons who had to become men one day. Could never figure that out. And here's what I've learned. It wasn't for me to figure out. It wasn't for me to understand. It was for me to say one thing positive about that man. And that is, without him, I wouldn't be here. And so all the bitterness, all the hatred that I had towards that man, I turned into gratitude. Because if he had never seeded me, I wouldn't be here. So I had to take that one piece and say, I thank God for the existence of William Lee Tabb, in spite of the fact that he never did anything for me beyond seed me, because without that, there would be no me. And that's the one piece of gratitude that I have. And that's the piece that I'll hold on to, so that I won't hold on to the bitterness of that man's existence. You gotta turn it around.
Yeah, I wish I had some of that in me, Brian. But my old man was always there, and he was always doing that. I was about to curse, but he was always doing some stupid stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's different when you had, well, I ain't gonna say it's different because I'm not trying to play like I know your emotions. I'm just saying, for me, he was always there.
I get it. I've learned listening to people like you, Kaneem, I've learned that it may have been a blessing that I never knew him. Right. I'll always have that, because I've learned that certain parents probably shouldn't have been around. But I've learned also that we know many people in life that have died having never gotten fixed, never gotten their breakthrough. It doesn't mean they were bad people. It was just a bad experience because they never got their healing. Never got it. And I get it. I'm not trying to tell you how to feel or what to feel about your dad. But I know that you're here, and I love Kaneem Curvey.
Right.
Yeah. And my position here, my obligation, my opportunity here is to work with Kaneem.
Right. Definitely.
I reciprocate them feelings, my brother. I reciprocate them feelings.
Before we go to dad jokes,
oh man, I got to go, man. I got to go.
Come on, brother. You gotta hang out.
Let me say this though. One of the
it's
things
hot. It's on fire. I've been pressing pause.
Experience is the realest thing in the world. A lot of times, the trauma that people feel in life is based on experience.
Right.
So again, I hate to talk about something I'm doing, but the curriculum I wrote, there's two things. The very first two lessons, one's perspective and one's experience. And the reason why those are the two first lessons is because your experience is the realest thing in the world. You can't change your experience. It's already happened. You can't do nothing about it. But the only thing that you can try to do is look at it from a different perspective.
Right.
And that's where a lot of the people that come through this training, that's where they get their epiphany, so to speak, is that I can begin to look at my history different. I don't have it. I'm not going to change my history, but is there a different angle I can come in that will help me heal, that will help me move forward, that help me unanchor myself from all the madness of the past so that I can move forward. So, you know, with Kaneem and what he shared, that's real. There's nothing no one can say to him that will ever change the way he feels.
Right.
But he's the one, if he decides or determines to, I'm going to look at it from a different perspective. And maybe I could see something, doesn't make it right what this person has done, but it allows me to say, you know what? I see something good. Like Brian was saying, I see something good in this and I can move it forward in a certain way. But yeah, that's the truth though. His experience is the truth. So why try to change it? We can't. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Hey fellas, I gotta jump off, man. Y'all enjoy y'all weekend.
Wait. You gotta hear some of these jokes. What you talking about?
Man, I got
we ain't going through all this.
Can I share my trauma? Can I share one trauma?
Uno momento. I got time for one, man.
I'm just saying. What can I just share my trauma? I ain't spoke. I just gonna share my trauma. I'm saying,
man,
like,
hey, text me.
No. My wife was, my wife's complaining that I don't buy her flowers, and I'm like, man, what you mean? I didn't even know you sold flowers.
There you go. Hey, y'all enjoy, bro.
Wait. Kaneem, you can't go. You can't go through all this deepness and not the jokes. Come on, man.
Thank you.
I love that. I love that. What did one hat say to another?
What's that?
You stay here. I'll go on ahead.
What happens if someone slaps you at a high frequency? It hurts. It hurts. You got to think about that for a second. It hurts.
Oh man.
The nurse goes to the doctor and says, "The invisible man is here to see you now." The doctor says, "Make him wait. I can't see him right now."
Listen, put the hats back on.
My doctor said I had type A blood.
Right.
It was a typo.
Wow. Oh man, what do you call a cult that is hard to get into? Difficult.
How many lips does a flower have?
Yes, Lisa.
2 lips.
Yes.
Nice.
When is a door not a door?
When it's a window.
When it's a jar.
Someone broke into my house and stole my brand new limbo stick. I mean, seriously, how low can you go?
How do you make the number 7 even?
How do you make the number?
You drop the 5. Where do you learn to make ice cream?
We get it.
Where do you learn to make ice cream?
Where?
Sunday school.
Okay. All right. We're gonna get ready to get out of here. But
okay.
You should make sure you're watching out for there's a new movie coming out real soon. And it's been a minute. It's been kind of difficult coming out in theaters and coming out everything. So make sure you check out Constipation. It's gonna be great when it comes out.
In the spirit of saying
you
goodbye,
gotta make a move.
In the spirit of saying goodbye,
man,
what do you say to a lollipop when you throw it away?
What's that?
So long, suckers.
See you guys on Monday. Peace out. Be blessed, guys. Later.